Did you know that since 2023, both Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff are tied for the most passing touchdowns at 81 apiece? They also rank number 1 and number 2 in passing yards as well. Goff has 10,594 and Mayfield has 10,083. Okay, but did you also know that Baker Mayfield has 9 rushing first downs that were earned on third down this season, which is tied for the most in the NFL? This is the Numbers Game. I'm Cynthia Frelund, and let's break down both Week 7 Monday Night Football matchups. You know I love offensive linemen, so obviously I'm going to start this game, and my intro to this game is going to be about, the current best left tackle by win share since 2024. That's Tristan Wirfs, heading to the home of the current win share best right tackle over that same time period in Penei Sewell. That is Tampa Bay at Detroit, of course. The home team, the Lions, are favored by 5.5 points. The total in this one, 52.5. I have Detroit winning by only 3 points, 28-25. This game has a laundry list of injuries and missing players and suspended people, whatever, on both teams, mainly the Lions defensive secondary and the Bucs wideouts. Let's start where we always do, the away team's offense versus the home team's defense. In this case, it's the Bucs offense against the Lions defense. And Baker Mayfield has 397 total yards on extended dropbacks. That is only second to Patrick Mahomes this season, who has 515 such yards. Mayfield has passed for 296 yards and scrambled for 101 yards on these 4+ second dropbacks. Mayfield has also scrambled on a career high 16.2% of his dropbacks, which is why he has the third most scramble rush yards at 162 and the third most first downs on scramble runs with 11. Protecting Mayfield will obviously be a priority. I talked about left tackle Tristan Wirfs. He's allowed just 10 pressures on 106 snaps in pass pro over the past 3 games since he returned from injury. Last week against the Niners, he allowed just 1 measly pressure on 25 pass blocking snaps. That's a 4% rate. Now, right tackle Charlie Heck, he's allowed the second highest pressure rate at his position this season at 14%. So other than because I love offensive linemen so much, why do I mention this? Well, it's because of Aiden Hutchinson, of course. He has 32 pressures this season, second most among all defenders, and he has averaged his quickest get-off time, 0.77 seconds, and his second quickest time to pressure, 2.93 seconds, in his return from injury. He also splits time nearly evenly, 50-50 on the right and the left, so both tackles will have to deal with him. He also has the most strip sacks this season with 3, and overall, Detroit's defense has a 38% pressure rate, and that's 9th highest in the league. Baker Mayfield has been great under pressure. He has 6 of his passing touchdowns, which is second most in the NFL under pressure. But there are a ton of injuries, potentially to all of their main wide receivers. Emeka Egbuka out, Chris Godwin, and maybe even Mike Evans too. Running back Bucky Irvin also not going to play. This just makes it harder to succeed under pressure, even with Detroit's secondary also so banged up. Now, on Detroit's offensive side of the ball against Tampa's defense, Penei Sewell, he has allowed 9 pressures on 186 pass blocking snaps at right tackle. That's a sub 5% pressure rate. He allowed just 1 measly pressure on 30 pass blocking snaps in week 6. And this season, he's allowed 1 pressure or fewer in 5 of his 6 games played. Since entering the league in 2021, Sewell's allowed just 1 pressure or fewer in 18 games at right tackle. That's tied for the 5th most such games during that span. Did I make my point clear enough about Tristan Wirfs and Penei Sewell? Both of them number 1 at their respective positions. I could keep going if you want. Okay, we will move on. However, we get it. We love offensive line play on this show. Lions running backs, they love it too. They've averaged 1.6 yards before contact per carry this season, the 3rd highest in the league. And Tampa Bay has allowed 1.1 yards before contact per rush by running backs this season. That is the 8th most. Detroit uses play action on 30% of their dropbacks so far this season, the 5th highest rate in the league, and Jared Goff is pretty darn good at it. He has a 0.54 EPA per dropback with play action. That's 3rd best in the league. He also has a 62.5 dropback success rate with play action. Again, that's also 3rd highest in the league. Now the Bucs defense, they've allowed 0.56 EPA per dropback to play action passes this year, 2nd highest in the league, and 12 yards per passing attempt when, of course, the quarterback uses play action, 2nd most in the league. Bottom line here, I have just a 3-point win in Detroit for the home team, 28-25. Why? Well, we know the Bucs will want to blitz on defense. They blitz at a 36% rate, the 5th highest in the league. They have 3 interceptions when blitzing. That's tied for the most in the league. However, Jared Goff, guess what? He leads the NFL with a 137.1 passer rating against the blitz. Now, blitz and pressure, they are very different. And this is a key because the Bucs defense is pressuring at a 43% clip. That is 2nd highest in the league. So keeping Goff clean will be key to this matchup because he leads the NFL with 13 passing touchdowns and an 84.3 completion percentage when not under pressure. So the difference here, pressure bad, no pressure good. That's why the score is so close, but the Lions eke out the 3-point win. And last but not least, the grand finale for week 7, the second game in our Monday Night Football doubleheader. It is Houston at Seattle. The Seahawks are favored at home by 3.5 points. The total in this one is 40.5. What does my model say? A 3-point win for Seattle, 22-19. Now, starting with the Texans offense against Seattle's defense. Maybe the theme of this episode is there is a difference between blitz and pressure because this is the story here again. CJ Stroud, he's completed 75 of 104 for 745 yards and 7 touchdowns with 2 interceptions when not facing the blitz this season. He has a 106.5 passer rating. That is 8th highest. He has a 72% completion percentage. That is 9th best. Now, the Seahawks defense, are they blitzing? The answer is not really. They're doing it 16% of the time. That is the lowest in the league and would be the lowest in 5 seasons if it held through the whole season. Seattle's defense does rate 3rd best in terms of getting pressure on quarterbacks, though, at 41%, meaning they get after quarterbacks with just 4 pass rushers. More on that in the takeaway. Seattle is one of 3 teams to have 3 or more players each with 20 or more pressures. Byron Murphy, Boye Mafe, Uchenna Nwosu. Those are the Seahawks defenders that have at least 20 pressures each. All 8 of CJ Stroud's passing touchdowns this season have come when not under pressure. Just one kind of data point for the stark difference here. When under pressure, CJ Stroud has 0 touchdowns with 1 interception for a 71 passer rating. When not under pressure, he has 8 touchdowns, 2 picks, and a 116.9 passer rating. Houston has also allowed him to be pressured on 1/3 of dropbacks. That ranks 14th in the NFL, so about average. Switching over to Seattle's offense against Houston's defense. Well, the Seahawks, they lead the NFL with a 6.3 yard per play average. Sam Darnold leads the NFL with a 9.6 yard per attempt average. That is the 2nd highest yard per attempt average since 2020. He's completed 39 of 56 passes downfield. Those are 10+ air yarders for 932 yards and 8 touchdowns with just 1 interception. He has a 144.3 passer rating and 70% completion percentage with 16.6 yards per attempt on such throws. All of those rank highest this season and would rank highest across all qualified quarterbacks since the start of the Next Gen Stats era. That's 2016, if you're keeping track. As for Houston's defense, they've allowed just a 70.4 passer rating. That is the lowest, as in meanest, this season, along with limiting their opponents to the 7th fewest explosive plays. So starting up front, Seattle's offensive line has allowed pressure on 31% of dropbacks. That's the 10th highest rate in the league. And overall, Houston's defense ranks about average, 17th in pressure rate at 34%. But Will Anderson Jr., he is not average. He has a 20.8 pressure percentage this season. That is 2nd best in the NFL. One last thing before we move on to the takeaway for this one, it's Seattle's run game. They are running at the highest rate in the league. They're only passing on 50.3% of plays. That's the lowest in the league. And Houston's defense, they have the 11th highest missed tackle rate in the run game at 24%, and they rank below average in rushing success rate allowed at about 40%. So they're nicer to the run than the average team. Bottom line, I have the Seahawks winning it by 3, 22-19. Let's dig a little bit deeper into Seattle's 4-man rush and see how it's kind of operating from a numbers standpoint. They do it 82% of the time, the highest rate in the league. We already know that. What happens when they do? A 37% pressure rate. That's 4th best in the league. Now, Houston has allowed 23% of pressures to result in a sack when they faced a 4-man rush. That's the 7th highest rate this season. And CJ Stroud averages just 4.3 yards per attempt against 4-man rushes. That is 6th fewest in the league. By the way, he also has a negative 0.64 EPA per dropback when pressured against 4-man rushes this season, 9th fewest in the league. So if they're using the 4-man front at the highest, they're blitzing the least. We already went over this before. But when they do blitz, so 16% of the time they're blitzing, And when they do blitz, it has been good. They've pressured opponents on 58.5% of those dropbacks. That's the highest by any team since we first started tracking this in 2018. How about a Monday Night Football edition of Good for Six? 6 stats to track for the Week 7 double header in order of least to most risky. Let's start with number 1. That's Baker Mayfield to have more than 1.5 passing touchdowns against the Lions. Mayfield has been so good on downfield and deep passes. Let's look at it. He has 24 completions of 20 plus yards. That's tied for the second most in the league. He has 9 downfield passing touchdowns. That paces the league. Do I know who catches said touchdown passes? I actually don't. It doesn't matter for this stat. And Baker, he's been great at targeting different receivers. He actually has a deep touchdown pass to more different receivers with 4 than any other quarterback has total deep passing touchdowns this season. And the Lions secondary is extremely depleted. Number 2, Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown to score a touchdown against the Bucs. All 6 of St. Brown's receiving touchdowns have come in the red zone. That's the most red zone receiving touchdowns in the NFL. And Jared Goff's passer rating when targeting him, 134.9, the 3rd highest in the league. And the Bucs rank 28th in red zone touchdown percentage. Number 3, Seahawks running back Kenneth Walker to have more than 59.5 rushing yards against the Texans. The highest run rate, the opportunity in the run game, and teammates with 3 of the top 6 highest graded run blocking wide receivers in the league per PFF. Torrey Horton, Cooper Kupp, and Jackson Smith and Jigba all rank in the top 6 at helping their running backs out. How nice of them. Number 4, Texans wide receiver Nico Collins to have fewer than 6 receptions. He has 22 on the year, which leads the team. This one is no ding on Collins, but rather a plus for Seattle's defense. Number 5, Texans quarterback CJ Stroud to throw for fewer than 2 passing touchdowns. He has more passing touchdowns in his last 2 games with 6 than his previous 7 games combined. That was 4 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in his last 7 games, including the playoffs. Again, this is a nod to Seattle's defense. And number 6, Bucs quarterback Baker Mayfield to rush for more than 20.5 yards against the Lions. Not only does he have those 9 rushing first downs on 3rd downs, which we had at the top of the show, but he also has the 2nd most EPA on scrambles. He has 328 such yards, and the Lions play man at the 5th highest rate. And guess what Baker does really well versus man? Run. He's actually scrambled on 21.2% of his dropbacks against man coverage, and he has 79 rushing yards on those scrambles. And that's it. That is the show for Monday Night Football. That concludes our Week 7 exploration and deep dive into all of the different games. Now, please put any questions for Week 8 either here in the comments, or you can put them on Twitter or Instagram, wherever. Just try to find me there, because I would love to incorporate more social elements into this show, more of what you want to know. I work for you. I am your analytics department. So let me know what you would like to know for the Week 8 games. We'll be back here very shortly for the Thursday Night Football edition of Numbers Game. Thank you so much for having patience with me for getting sick last week. I very, very much appreciate it. I look forward to making every single show even better than the last one. So enjoy the football, enjoy Monday Night Football, and I'll see you right back here for Thursday Night Football.